Good morning, y'all. Okay, so today we're going to talk about procreate, which is the second pillar of manhood, the second primary role of men. It is probably the most obvious. Every culture has all four, but and I said that the the protect role is essentially a man's duty. That is the one thing that that that's very masculine, right? Now, procreate, of course, we share that responsibility with women, but we have different roles within that role, if you understand what I'm saying. And so there are, a matter of fact, let me emphasize that these things are not cut in stone. So no one pillar is more important than the other. Like but the thing is, you have to have all four. So you can't eliminate protecting your woman, protecting your family, and still be a man. You can't eliminate providing for your woman, even though there are going to be many people watching this video who feel like, well, I got a job and he's not needed. Well, that's the reason why you're unhappy with manhood. Matter of fact, modern times has let man off the hook for many of these things. So anyway, just filter these through your own judgment, your own culture, how you were brought up. Maybe if you were brought up in a certain religion and stuff, we all will look at these things a little bit different. So myself being a Muslim and having the old school father that I have, and of course the old school mother that I have, growing up in a sort of Afrocentric culture as well as a Filipino culture, I'm going to look at these things a little bit different than many of you guys. Okay, so now it is imperative that man is the pursuer of woman. It is not in our culture for women to pursue men, even though they will do it. It's still seen as a man's job to pursue and initiate. So men must learn how to pursue the woman in order to kick this whole thing off. You know what I'm saying? And um, so to summarize the procreate role, we have to be the one that understands how to pursue and how to woo a woman, and not just for the purpose of sex. What happens is, if you only do this for the purpose of sex, then you're actually losing manhood, because what happens is the relationship or the pursuit of the woman stops once you screw her. Am I correct? That's pretty much what brothers do. They meet the woman, they fuck her, and then the whole thing is over. Now she's got a baby, he's not taking care of the baby. You see, and at that point, you've only really done, I'd say probably uh I'd say four parts of procreate. So procreation, to be summed up, is that man is the pursuer of woman, that he creates a large, vigorous family, he expands his lineage, right? Two, he passes down his genes to the next generation. And then three, he pleases his woman. And we'll get to all of this eventually. So let's start with the pursuer of the woman. So in pursuing the woman, the man has to know, it has to be more than just attraction, right? And the problem is, in the black community, we don't think of attraction as much more than you look good, I look good, and let's fuck. That's pretty much the extent of it. And so even those of us who think we are maybe higher on the vibration scale, don't look at much more than that. Maybe for the woman, the big deal is that he's faithful. You know what I'm saying? And so for brothers, we don't look for much more in a woman other than, is she attractive and can I get her? But the pursuit of the woman involves more than that. It involves knowing knowing what we have in common, which, like I said, people will talk about that stuff on a very low level. But for example, you think back to the time that you met the woman that you're with, or maybe you're pursuing a female right now. Where is she going to be in 5 years? Where does she want to be in 5 years? Right? Where will you be in 5 years? Does what you want in 5 years match with what she wants in 5 years? How many kids does she want? Does she want a lot of children? Does she want children at all? What about you? How many kids do you want? Does she know this? Are you getting with her and then finding out you don't want no kids, but she wants a kid? You see what I'm saying? Those things are part of the courtship, I guess you would call it, the courtship process of getting to know a woman. And often a guy thinks just be cute, be sexy, make her laugh, and that's about it. But the woman often don't think much more than that as well. So uh, uh, proving that you are fit to raise a family, that you're fit to lead a family, that's all part of the pursuit. Yes, you see what I'm saying? Proving that you have. Matter of fact, I had an argument recently with a brother from Oakland. I'm not gonna say his name because I hope he's subscribed to my channel. But the whole idea of man providing for the family, and then that conversation gonna come later. But part of getting to know a woman is what is her ideas about you being able to lead the family. So he's saying, well, brothers have to, the woman's gonna have to work to help pay for these bills, and there's a lot of women who ain't with that. You know what I'm saying? It don't mean that they're gold diggers. It's just that you guys is your values don't line up. That is an important part of pursuit. The man must do it with wisdom, right? So too often we're in a rush to fuck them, right? So most guys, if they don't fuck within a month, they're losing interest. Matter of fact, I belong to a couple of like red pill MGTOW groups, and I've actually been accused of being MGTOW and red pill, and I'm not. Um, but I do use maybe a lot of their philosophies and some of their terminology and stuff like that. But anyway, in those groups, the guys consider women who want to be taken care of as gold diggers, and they're not. They're just traditional in wanting a man to be a man. You see what I'm saying? And so you cannot go forward with beyond sex until you know that your philosophies line up. So, like I said, part of the main before any of this procreation stuff can be discussed, you have to know how to get the woman that you want. So if you're the type of brother that cannot hold a household down by yourself with your income, then you have to pursue women who don't need someone or don't want someone to provide everything, right? I'll give an example. My sister is well into six figures, and so is her husband. Um, After they started having problems with their children, she decided that I'm going to, well, she's going to work, I think, 2 days a week, and then I'm going to stay here and take care of the kids. They were in a position, well, matter of fact, really everybody's in a position for her husband to go and do it. So what happened is when he took on the role of sole provider, he started to do a lot of overtime. And for a lot of folks, especially us, a lot of folks, we look at that second income, that extra money, as this is money to go shopping with. This is money to upgrade the house with, to upgrade our vehicles and stuff like that. And, they had bought like a Lexus and shit like that in the beginning. And then they realized their mistake right after doing so, that 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 extra money should be for the household, not for the mall. You see what I'm saying? So anyway, they're a young couple. She's my younger sister, and they're doing great. They've got focused. They're actually saving their money and stuff like that. So, but part of his role as procreator is making sure that family is tight. And matter of fact, we'll get to that next stage. So, the second part of procreate is to create a large and vigorous family. And what does that mean? So, in the old days, a man's manhood was measured by the size of his family. Uh, Having more kids meant you had, more hands to work, right? So if you have a farm, doing it by yourself as a single man, I mean, as a newly married man, within 8, 9 years, now you've got children to help you till the fields and, maybe go hunting or whatever. And then in the modern day, um, guys who run businesses involve their children in their businesses. You see what I'm saying? So my kids help me with my martial arts school. A good friend of mine runs a security company, has 8 children, and all 8 children help him with his security company. Um, Anybody who's worked in business, who's had employees, they all know how difficult it is to have reliable employees. But if you trained your children to do this, you have at least, well, at least him, he has 8 employees that he can count on that are not going to call off sick. They're not going to bullshit when they get on the post. You know what I'm saying? His daughter is his salesperson. And when she sells this and she can look a guy in the eye and say, we are going to take care of you. And she's not just doing this for commission. She's doing this because she is building her own legacy. You see what I'm saying? So having multiple kids can, well, it does. It really does. If you are a smart man, if you are a wise man, having many children can help you build your empire. You see what I'm saying? No king is secure without princes and princesses. You understand what I'm saying? Um, and that is something that men have to think about, because too often in this modern day they look at children as mouths to feed, and to me that is a very unmanly, cowardly, selfish way to look at parenthood. That having extra children just means there's going to be less money for me. I mean, if you really think like that, you're a punk, in my opinion. You know what I'm saying? So sorry, not sorry, but um, for the man, he understands that my role as man, as the leader of this family, uh, it involves a lot of sacrifice. You cannot be a king without sacrifice. You see what I'm saying? And so part of that sacrifice is, yeah, you know what? For 15 years, I'm going to have to take care of these kids, do this alone. But when my kids get big, they're going to be warriors just like me. They're going to be future kings just like me. You have to think that way. And in the black community, we don't think that way. And so children are seen as a liability, not an asset. And as a result, brothers are often running away from the responsibility. That's just more money to spend for them. They don't think into the future. You know what I'm saying? And so the more kids you have, by the time you reach my age, 50 years old, you have a small little village of your own, because you have every child that you have produces children, what pushes you up the hierarchy. You understand what I'm saying? And that makes you a man. And there are many cultures where you're not really a man until you produce a child. Matter of fact, let me say something about that too. Uh, Expanding your lineage, which is the next, I guess, pillar or whatever in procreation, uh, to build my last name, to have more people carry my last name, to tell the stories of tell my story. You know, uh, what is his name? Not Hercules. Um, Jesus, I can't think of the guy's name. So in Greek mythology, there is Achilles. Achilles, the supposedly the greatest warrior of Spartan. I mean Spartan. The Trojans, the greatest Trojan hero. Um, he was preoccupied with people speaking his name when he died. And many men in the past think that way. You know what I mean? And uh, great men think that way. Very, very passive, mediocre men don't think of the future. They only think of the present. They don't think of when they plant when they plant a plant, when they plant a seed, they're thinking of trying to eat, hopefully I'll eat this in 6 months. They're not thinking of 10 years from now, 20 years from now, how many people will eat from this tree. My grandfather planted a mango tree the day after I was born. And one of the highlights of me coming back to the Philippines was 50 years later, I got to eat from that tree. And my mom reminded me, she told me Do you know how many hundreds of people have eaten from that tree? And that tree is my tree. When I die, that's where I'm going to be buried, under that mango tree. Um, it really brings everything into perspective that um, that the seeds that are planted. My grandfather is not here to enjoy that. You know what I mean? My grandfather did get to eat from that tree, though. Uh, I didn't. I didn't until I, came home. So, but that is something to consider. That what you do today is going to manifest in something bigger and greater tomorrow, and we do that, of course, through our children. What I teach my kids, the type of children that I raise, um, and the plan that I set, that we put into motion, uh, the plan that I lay down, um, that we act out, that we fulfill. You see what I'm saying? And so children are the biggest part of that. And so what happens is, for the man has to think of the future. When I get old, who will take care of me? What will happen to all of my resources when I get old and when I die? And we basically raise our children to be successful. We're The next thing we're going to talk about, of course, is provide. I provide for these kids to make them strong and healthy, and make them stronger adults than I am today. My sons will be stronger men. My daughters will become stronger wives, and they will be married to stronger women. They will be um, they will be successful and prosperous, and that is an important pillar of manhood. It is an important part of the procreate role. It's more than just fucking and making babies. It's more than just maybe marry the mom and feed the children. That's good, but it's got to be more than that. And like I said, we're way behind the eight ball. How many brothers watching this video right now did not marry your child's mother? Even if it didn't work out, did you at least marry the sister? And that was something my father had said to a cousin, back when I was 20. He said, if you get a girl pregnant, you owe it to your child. If you love that child that's coming, the least you can do for that child is try to make it work with his mother. At least put in the effort. You know what I'm saying? But for a guy to just be like, well, fuck it, I'm out. If you were to be promised $1 million on a job, what would you put up with to quit? Right? Well, let's not even say 1 million. Let's say 100 grand. If you were going to get paid 100 grand, what would it take to make you quit a job? I'm not talking about firing or whatever. What would it take for you to quit a job making 100 grand? There are a lot of brothers who will put up all kinds of disrespect and bullshit to keep a job that's well paying, but they won't put up with much from a woman in order to have access to their child, in order to raise their child and give their child a strong home. You see what I'm saying? The slightest thing that sister does, especially if she gains weight or something like that, nigga, I'm out. And there's other females out here I want to fuck. And see, to me, that's weak. That's very weak. I can say that I've only left one woman in my life. I've only left one woman. The women that I've had have left. They didn't like my program that I was on, and they left. And so, to some people, they might call that driving a sister out or whatever. But the thing is, I've never left a woman because I've always wanted to build a family. And even when things were hard, times were hard, I tried my best to keep it together. And I'm not saying that you have to do this, but I believe that you should. You know what I mean? You should do this. And brothers are not that committed to their women. So, like I said, the slightest thing will break up that family. And the one who suffers the most, of course, are the children. Y'all know this, right? So anyway, the man has to think about the future of his children, because everything he does affects them. And when we make children, we have to do more than just make sure that they survive into adulthood. We want them to make it to adulthood with power. You've heard me say this before in this channel. that we don't want to be the mediocre men who have the will to live. We want to be of the small minority who have the will to power. I don't want my children to just um, get to adulthood and become working adults. I want my children to become extremely prosperous. And at one time, uh, every man had a dream like that for his children. You know, he wanted his daughters. As a matter of fact, again, my mother, when my sister was younger, she was always looking to fix my sister up with somebody because she wanted her to marry a powerful man, a not just a good-looking boy. That was something that my mom used to talk about my sister. My sister liked cute boys. You know what I'm saying? My mom wanted her to have someone that was going to elevate my sister's status. Remember a last video I talked about the the hypergamy, right? Wanting to upgrade yourself by the mate that you choose. That is something that we as men have to position ourselves that women who want to upgrade choose us, right? I have to be an upgrade for a female. And again, part of that first part, in pursuing the woman, we convince the woman that we are that upgrade, you see, and then we have to make sure that my children grow up to become the upgrades for their future mates. You see what I'm saying? Okay, so um, now part of growing your progeny, part of growing your lineage, that it is a civic duty for men to contribute to his society, to his community, right? I contribute to my family, but also contribute to society. Uh, Something that men have, we have to have this quality of giving back more than we take, right? I take resources from the. Remember, we talked about the the perimeter, right? We talked about the community. If I consume a certain amount, I have to produce more. Why? Because it's more than just what my family and myself can get from this community, money wise, or its resources and things like that. I want to give back. Um, and and of course that does mean give back money. It does mean give back acts of service to the community, but it also means give back population. In the old days, if you had a community of 50 people surrounded by communities of 100, you were under threat, constant threat of not being able to defend yourselves because you don't have enough hands, right? And it's protection as well as providing. That community works together to produce GNP, gross national product, or uh, a gross community product, I guess you would call it. The black community, say, produces $1 million per year, and I'm just throwing that number out. A certain black community produces $1 million per year of income. That's $1 million of spending power. Chinese communities may come in and establish businesses. They'll be smaller and they'll produce $5 million of spending power. Do you see what I'm saying? And the more hands we have, the more men we have, we add to that national product, that gross income, that community gross income. And that gives us political power. But it gives us political power only if we use it in the way that it lends to our power. The more people we have, hypothetically, the more people that we have, the more people we have out here working, which is building the economic base of my community. If I have two children, they're going to contribute two incomes to to the community. If I have five children, we produce five incomes. You see what I'm saying? This does matter. And matter of fact, that and armies. So if my if our militia is made up of the men and I have 50 families, that's 50 men. If the 50 families get, say, five children apiece, theoretically, you end up with 250 men in 10 years, 15 years, who can then become part of that militia. It makes them stronger. Do you get what I'm saying? And so, Go back and watch the protection video to get more information on that. But uh, so that is one of the purpose of producing these children, to make my community stronger. I have to contribute back to the community, like I said, to so that my community doesn't get weaker. In some places, especially in Europe, they have a negative population growth, meaning more people are dying than people are having children. And part of the reason, matter of fact, here in America, I think it's getting that way, with at least with the white community. One of the reasons why is because many people are becoming more driven by making money, and so you have women who don't want to have children because they want to be out here making money. And so when you hear them, white supremacists, whatever, talking about we're being threatened, being extinguished, they think about the reverse genocide or whatever. That's what they're talking about. They're talking about there are more Mexican babies, more black babies being born in this country per capita than white babies, which is bad for them because they feel that once the tables are turned, once they become the minority, we're going to treat them the way that they treat us, which is actually what we should do. Anyway, so let me just leave that at that. So anyway, procreation is a society's building power. This is how we build our economy. This is how we build our population. This is how we build our political strength, right? At the grassroots level, we just have more people voting for our candidates, and that gives us political power, among in many other things. So the bottom line is the man should be building his tribe. Okay. Now the next part of the procreation um, pillar is passing on good genes, um, which is something for you ladies to think about. When you get with a man, you don't get with a man just because he's good looking. There's a theory in natural selection. I believe it's Charles Darwin's not Descent of Man. Fuck, I just read that damn book. Charles Darwin's Origin Origin of Species. That's the name of the book. I read a lot of books. I get them mixed up a lot. In his book, Origin of Species, he talks about the sexy son hypothesis. The sexy son hypothesis is not really sexy son, but what it's saying is that females will choose their mates based on his ability to create a sexy son. She chooses a man because of the qualities that he has that she would like to pass on to her children. You see what I'm saying? Um, we have to be that guy who has the qualities that a woman wants. We got to have more than just, you got to look cute and have a big dick. You got to have more than that. You got to have something that this woman wants her sons to have and her daughters to have. And so now it's not necessarily genetic. I can't pass on. Some people would argue you can pass on intelligence. I can't pass on my work ethic and stuff like that, but I need to possess these things because even though I may not pass it genetically, if this woman has a child with me, whatever I've got, whatever I live by, whatever traits I have, I will teach to my children, right? So if you have, in my Superman video, I talk about uh, inferior men. Having babies with inferior men leads to inferior babies. And I do believe in natural selection. This is the reason why the small lion doesn't get to mate, right? Um, Matter of fact, with men, because of modern society, because women are now working, we have institutions like welfare and food stamps and free healthcare and stuff like that. Men don't have to be as hardworking as they used to be. So it's easier for a weak man to get pussy. Often, the women prefer the weak man. We were talking about the feminists the other day with some friends, and uh, it turned into kind of a little debate, a little argument. And a sister was saying, well, she's a feminist, and uh, she considers herself a feminist. And when she described the kind of guy that she wants, she was really talking about a weak ass dude. That's what she wants. She wants a dude that she can that she can basically walk right over. You know what I'm saying? And she, in her mind, this is a nice guy. This is a good man. But that's not the kind of men that the community needs. That's not the kind of man that the family needs. And what happens is women love to be. They want a man to tell. They want the man to do what they tell him. To them, that makes them a good man. But what happens is when the shit hits the fan, she will back up and be like to the brother, okay, hey, look, this is your role, right? But you chose a weak motherfucker to lead that family. And you've been leading, and when shit hits the fan, now you want him to take over the roles. Well, I'm sorry, sister, but you didn't chose a weak ass motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? So what happens is modern society has made it so that weak men can now lead families. And how many times have you seen a brother uh, uh, going house to house with towing a female behind them and a baby, right? This brother can't even take care of himself, but now he got this chick and his baby with him. If he loves the baby enough, if he loves her enough, then he will do what he can to try to hold them together, but he don't know how because he's a weak motherfucker. This woman chose him. Very often, if he's even weaker than that brother, he will leave her. Look, you too heavy, right? Is that, or is that not what's happening right now? Brothers are leaving women by the side because they don't know what to do. They don't know how to lead. They don't know how to take care of a family. So so right now, so in procreating, we have weak brothers procreating, making more weak children. If you find a weak guy right now, a dude who just don't got his shit together, you look at his family structure, I guarantee that man, his father's not there. If his father is there, he's probably an alcoholic or he's another weak nigga just like him, right? So we have to mold ourselves into the kind of men for the purpose, of course, of attracting a good mate, for the purpose of raising successful children, and for the purpose of passing these traits on to our children so that they can grow up and become successful and strong. Okay, do you kind of get what I'm saying? Um, there's something I want to say real quick about the pursuer part. Pursuing women is something that many people who talk about alpha men and beta men and stuff like that, it's a characteristic of the alpha male. And it's actually in the animal kingdom, the male is really not the pursuer. The man is the attractor. The male is the attractor. He proves his manhood to other male lions so that he establishes himself as the alpha. And then all the females will pretty much come to him. Okay? But in human society, it doesn't quite work that way. It can work that way. I remember seeing an interview with Morgan Freeman, and they were asking Morgan Freeman, what is his advice to young men about finding good women? He said, don't look for him. And he's like, don't look for him. He says, yeah. He says, be the kind of man that women want, and they will come to you, right? That's one way of looking at it. But we should still be the initiator. We should still be the pursuer. What makes men not want to go after women often is the fear of rejection. The fear of rejection because either we know we're not good enough or we know that we're pursuing a woman who's out of our league. And that is something that to consider about manhood. If you are afraid to approach women, if you're afraid to pursue women, if you're nervous about it, you really have to work on yourself. Why is that? Why don't you feel like you're the top dog in the room? If you don't feel like the top dog in the room, you can fix that. So anyway, that's for another video, but I just wanted to throw that out there. Um, so, matter of fact, let me say this real quick before I go to the last one. So men should be having families kind of gives us our purpose, our sense of purpose. Having families gives us our motivation to become stronger men. Because when we become stronger men, we attract a higher quality mate and we create stronger, we create more children, stronger children, more successful children. Okay, so I just want to throw that out there. It is kind of the reason why brothers drive nice cars, why brothers wear nice clothes and things like that, because women like that. And so in modern society, when sex is cheapened, when it's so easy to get I mean, you can get pussy as easy as just swiping right. Is that a swiping right or swiping left? Well, I've actually never been on Tinder, but but they say you swipe left or you swipe right or something like that, and it's that easy to meet a woman. They even tell you like she's two miles from you. You know what I mean? God, that really makes these niggas weak. I swear, Jesus. When it's that easy to get a woman, is it so so difficult to understand why it's so easy to lose the woman, right? You didn't take much to get her attention, or it didn't take much to get your attention, and now you've lost interest, or she's lost interest. You know what I mean? Because it ain't built on shit. And that's why I say black manhood is in trouble, because I don't give a damn if white folks do it, because I'm tired of niggas saying that shit. Well, white people do it. I don't give a fuck about white people. I'm talking about us. Okay? Right now, they're in first place. We are in last place. We're in last place. And there is not, I don't care how much money you got, just as Chris Rock said, they ain't a poor motherfucker out here, white boy, Asian dude, Spanish dude, that will trade places with your black ass. Okay? So, we're in last place. And one of the main reasons why we're last place is, like I said, that we have lost manhood in our community. Even 50 years out of slavery, we had more manhood than we have today. So I'll have to make that statement another time and expand on it. So, oh my God, 36 minutes. Okay. So real quick, I'm gonna get to the last part of the pillar. Last part of the pillar is pleasing your woman, right? Because as much as we talk about procreation, I sound like a preacher and all that kind of shit, but we still have to bring that woman to orgasm. And that is an important part of being a man. If you're with a woman and she can't come, or your dick ain't staying up strong enough, long enough to bring her to orgasm, or you don't know your way around a pussy, you don't know how to make a woman feel good about herself and make her comfortable when y'all go to bed, you're not a man. You know what I mean? She might as well fuck a 15-year-old boy. You know what I mean? Or 80-year-old man. So, but that is something that we as men have to do. Sex as entertainment has really fucked up the black community. We don't look at sex for the purpose of having children. And because we don't look at it for the purpose of having children, pregnancy is often an accident, right? And so when a brother is using sex for entertainment, then he's really trying to build his reputation with this woman. He's trying to prove his skills so that he has unlimited access to her body. And what often comes with that is that this woman no longer becomes enough. Now he needs another female, especially even if he's not doing a good job fucking her. He needs a woman who's going to respond to his dick. And he feels insecure fucking her, so he goes and finds himself another girl to fuck. You often hear brothers say, "Oh, you know what? Fat girls and ugly broads have better pussy." Why is that? It's because you have stepped down on your own, I wouldn't say standards, but your own, okay, we'll say it's standards of what you want in a female, and you're going down to have a woman maybe who feels lucky to be with you, and then now you can act like big dog when you with her. You know what I'm saying? When you look at sex that way, then it becomes, like I said, it becomes cheap. And now she doesn't have to have many qualities to attract you, right? I mean, sometimes I even say it, your sister ain't even got to be pretty. She's got to have a big ass, right? If you look at things that way, and you don't look at a future with this sister, then it cheapens the whole process. And like I said, it robs you of your manhood. Now, sex skills should be used to bring that family unit tighter together. One, it ensures that whenever you're ready to go, she's ready to go. when you're ready to go, she's ready to go, and you do it often, it increases the chances that you'll have more babies. And if you limit sex to just sport, then, like I said, you kill yourself of your manhood. Brothers, do not fear having babies. It makes you more of a man. But it only makes you more of a man if you have the other four pillars, or other three pillars. If you're taking care of these kids and you're raising strong children and building your tribe. Okay, so we have to keep ourselves healthy in order to maintain our sex skills. It doesn't matter how good a pussy you're eating, if how good you are at oral sex, if you don't have a heart strong enough to keep your dick hard. You have to keep yourself in good health. You have to keep yourself in good health as well to pass on those genes. You know what I'm saying? You have to know a woman's body. You have to know a woman's mind. Sometimes sex ain't all about just fucking the hell out of her and sticking getting all up in the guts. There's more to it than that. But if you don't understand a woman's mind, which a lot of brothers don't, then sex does become just a sport. And often the women aren't really enjoying you as much as you think they are. Sometimes they have an insecurity that keeps them dealing with the sorry ass dude. You know what I'm saying? And often when y'all finally break up, she catches you with that white girl, or however the thing ends, which, y'all know how this is how we often get caught with a white girl. And she moves on to the good brother. Women will usually report back that, damn, this good brother, the sex is even better, right? Is it that he had a bigger dick? Is it because he had more stamina? No, often it's because he connected with her mentally and emotionally, and the sex just got better from that. You know what I'm saying? So, but we have to have all other areas covered, right? I got to keep myself healthy. I got to keep myself fit. I have to know what she likes, right? You can't fuck two women the same way. You got to fuck her. You got to have sex with her the way that she likes it, which means you have to get to know her. You don't just meet a girl, fuck her the same night, and think you doing something. I mean, of course that does happen, but for long-term relationship, you have to know more about her. You have to connect with her. You have to connect with her in order to bring her to orgasm more often and better orgasms. You know what I'm saying? And so this is part of the procreate role, because we're, I keep talking about procreation. It's a little bit more than procreation. It's also connecting with that woman. But the same act that, that makes the babies also brings you closer to the female, which makes y'all a tighter couple. Quite often, we don't connect with our woman on all levels. And that is the reason why these relationships aren't staying together. Okay, so anyway, we talked about how the cheapness of sex demotivates men. It also lowers the standards of women lowers the standards women have for us, and building a strong family, building a large, successful family. So that pretty much wraps up the procreate role. So the next video that I do in this series is going to be on providing. Okay, it'll be a long one like this one, because I do have a lot to say about that. So anyway, if you're not subscribed to the channel, please subscribe. Hit the bell button so you get notifications. Check back with us and share these videos. All right, y'all. Have a good one. Peace.